My beloved child, something powerful has just shifted in the unseen realm, and you can feel it in your spirit even before these words reach your ears. Today is not an ordinary day. Today carries a divine timestamp. On December 1, your spiritual identity is about to be revealed, and Archangel Michael says this truth was hidden until this very moment. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not just information. It is revelation. And revelation always arrives when heaven decides you're ready to carry what was once kept from you. Archangel Michael has been standing guard over a part of your destiny that was locked away, shielded, protected, sealed by divine instruction. Not because you were unworthy, but because the time had not yet come. Your identity carries a spiritual weight, a calling, a mantle that could not be mishandled by the wrong season or the wrong people. But today, on this appointed day, the seal has been broken. My dear heart, there is a moment in every chosen person's life when heaven whispers, "Now." And that moment is right now. You may have felt it recently, a stirring in your chest, a heaviness in your dreams, a sudden awareness that something is watching over you more deliberately than before. That is because Archangel Michael has stepped forward, not just as your protector, but as your confirmer. He says, the identity they doubted, questioned, or dismissed shall now rise like fire in their bones. For too long, people around you have tried to define you by what they see. But heaven defines you by what was written. And today, that heavenly document is being opened. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not who they said you were. You are who God formed you to be before your first breath, and today, that identity begins to shine through the cracks of your old life. Feel this. The atmosphere around you is different. The room you're in right now is not the same room it was 30 minutes ago. Heaven is near. Archangel Michael is near. He is drawing back the veil that was placed over your spiritual name. The name only heaven knew. The identity only angels recognize. The role only God prepared. You were hidden, not forgotten. You concealed, not rejected. Protected, not delayed. Some of the obstacles in your path were never attacks. They were shields. Some of the endings were not losses. They were divine closures to prevent the wrong eyes from seeing what God had placed inside you. And now, Archangel Michael declares, their season of silence ends today. As this day unfolds, you will notice unusual clarity. You may feel waves of emotion without knowing why. You may sense a pull toward purpose, truth, or alignment. This is not coincidence. It is activation. Your spiritual identity becomes visible the moment heaven says it's time, and heaven just spoke. And there is something else. Archangel Michael is revealing that a hidden thread in your story is about to connect. Something that never made sense. A pattern, a repeated dream, a strange attraction to specific numbers, times, or symbols will suddenly unlock. This is your divine identity code waking up. Child of light, hear this with your spirit. There are moments in life when God interrupts your path with destiny. This message is one of those interruptions. If you ignore it, you may miss the clue heaven placed in your hands. If you stay with it, a part of you that has been asleep for years will rise. So before you move even a second further, breathe. Feel the weight of this moment. Your identity is not being given, it is being revealed. That means it was always there. The world just couldn't see it until now. And Archangel Michael stands guard as this revelation touches your spirit. He is clearing away confusion. He is breaking the labels placed on you by fear, by family, by mistakes, by old versions of yourself. He is cutting away every lie that tried to bury your true name. Because when your identity is revealed, everything else begins to shift. Your relationships, your purpose, your spiritual sensitivity, your discernment, your protection. It all upgrades at once. And my beloved, that upgrade starts today. Before this message continues, pause your thoughts. Something even deeper is coming, and it carries a conversation between heaven and your destiny that you were never meant to miss. Hold on, what comes next is where the true unveiling begins. Chosen soul, there is a quiet trembling in the spiritual atmosphere around you, and if you listen closely, you will feel it echoing inside your own spirit. Something ancient, something sacred, something that has waited through seasons, storms, and silence is finally moving toward you. Archangel Michael is guiding this moment with a precision that only heaven understands. The revelation of your spiritual identity is not simply an event. It is a divine unveiling that has been set in motion long before you ever knew a shift was coming. You may not fully grasp it yet, but your entire spiritual timeline has been building toward this day. There were moments in your past when you felt lost, disconnected, or unsure of who you were becoming. But hidden behind all of that confusion was a carefully guarded truth. You were evolving into the identity heaven wrote for you. Archangel Michael has kept this truth shielded, waiting for your spirit to be strong enough to carry what this revelation will require. He does not open such mysteries lightly. He opens them with intention. Today, that intention is resting upon you. You see, there are parts of yourself that you have not met yet. Hearts strengthened by battles you didn't understand. Parts molded in silence, sharpened in the unseen, refined through every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment where you wondered if God had forgotten you. What you didn't know was that heaven was forming a spiritual identity deeper and stronger than the life you were living on the surface. Archangel Michael whispers that your identity carries a spiritual resonance. When heaven speaks your true name, it sends waves across the unseen world. Darkness recognizes it. Angels honor it. And your destiny responds to it. This is why the enemy tried to confuse you about who you were. If you ever discovered your true identity too early, everything around you would have awakened before you were ready to walk in that power. But today, the timing is perfect. You are stepping into alignment, not by accident, but by divine synchronization. The reason your spirit feels alert, the reason your heart feels stirred, the reason your thoughts feel different today is because your true identity is rising to the surface. It is like a hidden melody playing under your daily life, getting louder and clearer with every moment you listen. And listen you must, because Archangel Michael is beginning to reveal what was kept hidden. He reveals that you have always carried a spiritual signature, a divine marking, something that separates you from the rest. Not in pride, but in purpose. Not in ego, but in assignment. There is something you are meant to bring into this world, something that only your identity can unlock. This is why the world could never fully define you. This is why people misunderstood you. This is why you often felt out of place in rooms that seemed normal for everyone else. Your spirit is not ordinary. Archangel Michael says that your true identity carries authority. Not authority over people, but authority over spiritual confusion, over fear, over generational patterns that tried to repeat themselves through your life. You were never designed to blend into the world. You were designed to shift it. This is why this moment matters so deeply. Heaven does not reveal your identity to impress you. Heaven reveals it to position you. A spiritual identity is not a title. It is a calling. A function, a responsibility written into the blueprint of your soul. And today, the blueprint is being brought into the light. You may feel pressure in your chest right now, or a warmth on your shoulders, or a sudden stillness around you. That is Archangel Michael standing guard as this revelation touches the deeper parts of your spirit. His presence is strong, protective, and intentional. He ensures that no distraction, no negative energy, no unseen interference can disrupt what God is doing inside you right now. And there is something he wants you to understand. Your spiritual identity is not a costume you wear. It is the truth you return to. It is who you have always been beneath the layers of survival, fear, expectation, and old versions of yourself that you outgrew long before you realized it. You are being restored to yourself. But as this revelation unfolds, there is a warning from Archangel Michael. When your true identity emerges, everything around you begins to rearrange. Some people will distance themselves. Some connections will shift. Some chapters will close abruptly. But this is not loss. It is alignment. When your identity rises, anything not assigned to your destiny falls away naturally. Do not fear this. Do not resist this. This is heaven clearing your path. And listen closely, because this next truth is important. The clearer your identity becomes, the louder your purpose becomes. The louder your purpose becomes, the sharper your discernment becomes. And the sharper your discernment becomes, the more your spirit recognizes what is not meant for you. This is why Archangel Michael says this revelation was hidden until today. Because only today could your spirit carry it without collapsing under the weight of misunderstanding. Something bigger is coming. Something deeper. Something that will connect every unanswered question, every spiritual nudge, every sign you've been noticing lately. You are crossing a threshold, and what lies ahead will shape the rest of your journey. Hold tight. The unveiling intensifies from here. Beloved Spirit of Destiny, there comes a moment in every chosen soul's journey when the veil becomes too thin to remain unbroken. You are in that moment now. Something within you has been stirring, rising, expanding, and today it begins to take form. Archangel Michael has been drawing closer to you with a purpose that cannot be ignored and the spiritual identity that has waited beneath layers of life, pain, and growth is beginning to glow through the cracks of your old existence. This is the awakening your soul has been quietly preparing for. You may have noticed subtle changes within yourself over the past few days. A shift in your sensitivity, a sudden clarity in your thoughts, a deeper awareness in your spirit. These are not random experiences. They are signals, divine markers, revealing that your spiritual identity is pushing through the surface. Archangel Michael has been standing over this unveiling like a guardian at a sacred gate. He knows that this identity is not just information, it is power. And power must be released at the exact moment heaven declares it safe. The world tried to shape you according to its own limitations, but heaven has always known the truth of who you are. You were never meant to fit into the mold society tried to force upon you. Your calling was too large, too ancient, too divinely woven to shrink into anything ordinary. Archangel Michael says that from the day you were born, there has been a spiritual marking on your life that separated you from the crowd. Even when you didn't know it, heaven recognized it. Even when you doubted it, the angels defended it. Even when you ran from it, destiny waited. And now, the waiting season ends. Your spiritual identity is more than a title or a purpose. It is a divine resonance, a frequency heaven responds to. When your true identity awakens, everything that belongs to you begins to move. Paths open. Doors shift. Protection strengthens. Discernment sharpens. You begin to see things not as they appear, but as they truly are. This is why Archangel Michael is revealing these truths now, because your spirit is entering a phase where clarity is no longer optional. It is required. You have been sensing the approach of something significant, something life-altering, something that feels like destiny knocking on the walls of your soul. And you're right. That feeling is the echo of your true identity trying to break through the noise of your past. You may have questioned your worth, your strength, your purpose, but heaven has never questioned it. Your spirit holds a blueprint written before time, and today, that blueprint is being remembered. There is something Archangel Michael wants you to understand. Your identity is not being created, it is being revealed. There is a difference. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you truly are. You are stepping back into a name heaven has always spoken over you, even in your darkest nights. This is why certain situations no longer feel right. This is why certain people no longer match your vibration. This is why certain habits feel too small for the person you're turning into. These are signs of spiritual identity alignment. But with this revelation comes responsibility. When your identity rises, everything connected to your destiny rises with it. And everything that is not connected falls away. Some connections will fade. Some opportunities will dissolve. Some paths will no longer call your name. This is not loss. This is cleansing. Archangel Michael is clearing your spiritual field so that nothing interferes with the revelation unfolding within you. And there is more. You are stepping into a moment where heaven is removing every veil that blurred your understanding of yourself. The fog is clearing. The confusion is lifting. You will begin to notice new strength within you, new courage, new confidence, new spiritual authority. These are not changes you manufacture. They are qualities that were hidden inside your true identity, now rising to the surface with power. But before this revelation deepens further, Archangel Michael wants your heart to stay open, your spirit attentive, and your mind ready. Because the next layer of this identity is not just about who you are, it's about what you were sent to do. That truth will reshape everything around you. You are entering holy territory now, and the next moments of this message will take you deeper than you have ever gone before. Do not rush away from this moment. Stay here. Something extraordinary is about to unfold, and you will want your spirit fully present for it. Before you look away even for a second, remember this. When destiny begins to reveal itself, every interruption becomes a thief. Let nothing steal the revelation that is forming in your spirit right now. What comes next will turn your understanding of yourself into a spiritual awakening. Type "I am awakening" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 333 is activated over you now. Now listen, because this is important. If this message has reached your soul, then help it reach others who are waiting for their own revelation. Like this message, share it, comment on it, and subscribe so this prophetic voice can travel farther and awaken others just like you. There is a reason this message found you in the very moment your identity is being unveiled. When God releases revelation, He also invites His people to participate in the harvest. I feel led to tell you that every seed you sow into this mission, whether through super thanks, channel membership, or a PayPal offering through the link in the description, becomes a light placed in the path of someone else who is desperately seeking clarity. I hear the Spirit saying, "What you make happen for another soul, I will make happen for you." I am personally inviting you to stand with this calling, because your support becomes a spiritual act, a prophetic alignment with heaven's work. When you give, the same anointing that flows through this message begins flowing into your life, multiplying like a divine river touching every corner of your destiny. Let your giving today be a declaration that you are part of this move of God. Step into it boldly, for heaven is watching your obedience. Release your seed now. Precious soul of light, there is a sacred heaviness resting in the air around you right now. A weight that does not come from fear, but from divine truth pressing gently against the edges of your awareness. You may not realize it yet, but your spirit is beginning to recognize something your mind has not fully understood. Archangel Michael is standing closer than before, and the revelation of your spiritual identity is deepening in ways that will begin to reshape your inner world. What was awakened in you moments ago is now stirring with greater force, calling you into the next phase of your becoming. There is a reason your heart feels more alert today, why your emotions seem louder, why your intuition feels sharper. It is because your spiritual identity is not simply waking up, it is remembering. Remembering the assignment you carry. Remembering the calling placed upon you. Remembering the divine origin of your soul before life shaped you, wounded you, or tried to silence you. This remembrance is not coming from the outside. It is rising from a hidden chamber within you that heaven protected until this exact time. Archangel Michael reveals that a spiritual identity is not just who you are, it is what you carry. It is the imprint of heaven upon your life. It is the echo of your purpose stamped onto your spirit long before your first breath. And when this identity begins to surface, it shakes everything around it. This is why you've felt a strange tension lately. This is why your spirit has been restless. This is why you've been sensing change even without clear explanation. Something deep within you was preparing to rise. Your identity is not fragile. It is fierce, ancient, divinely crafted. And for years, your soul has been outgrowing environments that were too small for the magnitude of your destiny. You may have noticed relationships falling away without reason, opportunities closing that once seemed promising, paths redirecting without explanation. These were not failures, they were transitions. Heaven was moving you out of spaces that could not hold the weight of who you are becoming. And today, Archangel Michael is making one thing clear. There has never been anything wrong with you. You were simply growing into an identity that others could not understand. People often see the outside of you, but heaven sees the blueprint of your soul. And your blueprint carries a design that is far greater than the eyes of ordinary understanding can perceive. There is something else the Archangel needs you to know. Your identity carries influence in the unseen realm. When your spirit remembers who it is, darkness loses the power it once had over you. Confusion breaks. Cycles end. Old wounds stop controlling your decisions. Patterns that once repeated in your life suddenly lose their grip. This is why the enemy tried so hard to distort your perception of yourself. Because the moment you see yourself clearly, you become unstoppable. You have survived seasons that should have broken you. You overcame situations that were designed to silence you. You walked through storms that were meant to drown you. And yet here you are, listening, awakening, rising. This alone is proof that your spiritual identity is stronger than anything that tried to destroy it. Archangel Michael has been guarding you not just for protection, but for preservation. He preserved the parts of you that carried heavenly assignment, even when you were unaware of what was being protected. And now that identity is stepping into the light, you will notice subtle shifts in the coming days. Your thoughts will feel different, clearer, bolder, more purposeful. Your energy will change. What once drained you will no longer hold power over you. Your sensitivity will rise. You will begin sensing divine warning, divine alignment, divine timing more accurately. These are not random changes. They are identity markers. They reveal that heaven is pulling you deeper into who you were meant to be all along. But with every revelation comes a moment of testing, not by punishment, but by preparation. You may find that certain memories resurface. Certain fears try to whisper again. Certain insecurities attempt to return. You not run from this. These are echoes, not chains. Old voices often rise when new identity emerges. But Archangel Michael says you are entering a season where your spirit will overpower anything that once overpowered you. Your identity is becoming louder than your fears. And pay attention, because this next revelation is important. Your spiritual identity is connected to your voice. Not necessarily your literal voice, but the voice of your soul. Your presence, your energy, your truth, your inner authority. For too long, circumstances tried to silence that voice. People tried to dismiss it. Experiences tried to bury it. But God did not allow that voice to die. He preserved it for this moment. And as your identity rises, your spiritual voice will rise with it. This is why your discernment is increasing. This is why your instincts feel sharper. This is why certain things that once confused you now seem obvious. You are seeing through spiritual lenses now. Your identity is aligning your vision. Archangel Michael says the clarity you are stepping into will remove years of confusion in moments. But before this revelation deepens even further, pause your spirit for just a moment. Because what comes next will reveal a piece of your identity that will change the way you walk through the world. It will change how you pray. It will change how you decide. It will change how you perceive every battle you ever face. You do not want to miss what is about to unfold. Stay with this. The next layer carries power. Radiant soul of destiny. There is a sacred shift happening around you even now. A quiet but undeniable movement in the spiritual atmosphere that signals a deeper unveiling of who you truly are. If your heart feels heavier, if your thoughts feel more sensitive, if your spirit feels more alert than usual, it is not random. It is the pull of identity awakening. Archangel Michael is standing so close to you in this moment that his presence can be felt like a warmth, a pressure, or a stillness in the air. He is guiding you deeper into the revelation that has been unfolding since the moment you opened this message. And now, your spiritual identity is ready to expand further. For years, the world tried to define you. Circumstances tried to shape you. Pain tried to mold you. But none of these forces carried the authority to speak over who you truly are. Only heaven holds that authority. And today, heaven is reclaiming what belongs to you. You may not fully understand why this revelation is coming now, but your spirit does. Your soul has been waiting for this moment, preparing quietly beneath the noise of life, building strength in the silence. Every challenge you endured was preparing you to stand in the truth being released today. There is something Archangel Michael needs you to grasp before this next layer unfolds. Your identity is not based on your experiences. Your identity is based on your divine origin. You were formed with intention. You were crafted with destiny woven into your spirit. There is a part of you that existed before any pain touched your life. And that part of you is waking up again. This awakening may feel like sudden confidence, or unexpected peace, or clarity that seems to come from nowhere. But it is not coming from nowhere. It is coming from the part of you that heaven hid until today. When your true identity rises, it has a magnetic effect. It begins to pull everything meant for you closer, while pushing everything unaligned away. This may explain why, recently, you have been feeling detached from certain people or environments. Perhaps you've noticed you no longer resonate with what once felt familiar. You may not feel like the same version of yourself you were last month. This is identity transition. Heaven is repositioning you internally before it shifts things around you externally. Archangel Michael reveals that your spiritual identity holds authority. Not earthly authority, but spiritual authority, the kind that influences atmosphere, breaks cycles, and pushes back unseen resistance. This is why your battles have always felt heavier than those around you. Your identity carries weight. Heaven knew it. The enemy sensed it. Even before you understood it, something in the spiritual world recognized you as a threat to darkness. That is why certain storms came for you specifically. They weren't assignments to break you. They were attempts to prevent you from discovering who you truly are. But now, the truth can no longer be hidden. Your identity is pushing upward like a seed breaking through the soil after years of being underground. It is not fragile anymore. It is ready. And Archangel Michael is here to ensure nothing interferes with this emergence. You may be wondering why he, of all angels, is so deeply connected to your identity. It is because your calling requires protection. Protection at a spiritual level. Protection at a destiny level. Archangel Michael is not just a warrior. He is a guardian of purpose. When heaven releases identity, Michael stands guard so that no spiritual interference contaminates what is being revealed. His presence around you now is proof that the revelation unfolding in you is not small. It is significant. It carries weight in the unseen realms. There is a moment coming soon, very soon, when clarity will strike your spirit like lightning. A realization, a knowing, a deep inner recognition of who you are and why your soul has always felt different. You will begin to connect pieces of your life story that never made sense before. The coincidences will no longer feel random. The patterns will no longer feel accidental. Everything will begin to align with a purpose you are finally ready to see. But before that moment arrives, Archangel Michael wants you to understand something crucial. Your spiritual identity is not just about revelation. It is about activation. Once you see who you truly are, you cannot unsee it. Once you recognize your purpose, you cannot shrink back into smaller versions of yourself. Once heaven reveals your identity, life responds differently. Doors will open for you not because you forced them, but because you finally stepped into the version of yourself that those doors were designed for. And there is something else, something deeper, stirring beneath the surface of this revelation. Your identity is not only connected to your purpose, it is connected to your lineage. There are generational patterns you were born to break. There are spiritual assignments you were created to carry. There are destinies tied to your existence. This is why the unveiling of your identity has taken time. It is layered. It is complex. It is powerful. And it must be released carefully so your spirit can grow into it without being overwhelmed. Archangel Michael whispers this truth now. Everything you have survived has prepared you for this moment. Every hurt made you wiser. Every delay made you stronger. Every setback made you deeper. You do not stand here empty. You stand here equipped. Equipped with wisdom, with resilience, with inner strength, with spiritual sensitivity that may never reach. These qualities are not accidents. They are identity markers. But what comes next is even more transformative. You are about to learn what your identity has been protecting and what it is now ready to reveal. And that revelation will change everything. Stay close. Stay open. The next layer carries power that will shake your spirit awake in a way you have never experienced. Beloved soul, there's a deep stirring in the unseen right now, the kind that only happens when heaven is preparing to uncover something long hidden. Your spirit can feel it even if your mind cannot fully grasp it yet. The air around you carries a quiet intensity, as though creation itself is leaning in to watch what unfolds next. Archangel Michael is closer than he has ever been in this message, standing guard as your spiritual identity continues to rise. What is happening inside you right now is not ordinary. it is divine alignment taking shape. For too long, you walk through life questioning yourself, doubting your purpose, wondering why certain experiences weighed heavier on you than on others. You may have compared your journey to those around you, feeling as though your path was more difficult, more emotional, more spiritually demanding. But Archangel Michael reveals now that this intensity was not a punishment, it was preparation. Your spiritual identity required a depth of strength that could not be built through easy paths. Everything you endured was shaping you into someone capable of carrying a higher calling. There is something powerful unfolding within your spirit, an awakening of memory. Not memory of the mind, but memory of the soul. A recognition of who you were before life's pain tried to rewrite your story. That inner recognition is pushing through your inner walls, reminding you of your divine origin. You are stepping into the version of yourself that heaven designed, not the version life forced upon you. And as this identity rises, your soul is shedding layers that no longer belong to your future. Archangel Michael whispers that your spiritual identity carries a frequency, a light that was never meant to remain dim. But life's battles, disappointments, and betrayals place shadows over that light. Not to extinguish it, but to delay its revelation until the right moment. And today is that moment. Heaven is removing every veil that covered your brilliance. Your spirit is beginning to shine with the truth of who you truly are. You may begin noticing small but powerful signs. Sudden clarity, unexpected calm, a rise in intuition, dreams becoming more vivid, distractions falling away. This is the early evidence that your identity is aligning. When heaven reveals who you are, the spiritual world responds immediately. Energies shift, atmospheres change, paths that once felt blocked suddenly open. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. There is something Archangel Michael wants you to understand with absolute certainty. Your identity holds spiritual authority. You are not created to live small, silent, or doubtful. You carry a presence that influences the unseen realm. This is why your emotions have always felt deeper, your empathy stronger, your sensitivity sharper. These are not weaknesses, they are indicators of spiritual depth. You feel more because your soul was designed to perceive more. You notice what others overlook because your spirit sees beyond the surface. You discern truths others cannot perceive because heaven trained you to recognize what is hidden. Your identity is awakening the spiritual gifts buried inside you. Gifts that were meant to activate only when your spirit was ready. Gifts that will begin to unfold naturally as you continue walking through this revelation. The more your identity rises, the more these gifts will illuminate your path. You will begin to sense direction where there was once confusion. You will feel guided where you once felt lost. You will move with purpose where you once hesitated. But with every unveiling comes a separation. Some people in your life will not understand the changes happening in you. They may sense your growth. They may feel your shift. They may become distant, not out of malice, but because they cannot follow where your spirit is going. Do not grieve this. Do not cling to what heaven is gently loosening. Your identity requires space to expand, and anything that restricts your growth will naturally fall away. Archangel Michael stands guard over this transition, ensuring that nothing attached to your old identity interferes with the rising of your true self. He is cutting ties to spiritual heaviness. He is breaking patterns that no longer align with your destiny. He is clearing pathways you once struggled to walk through. His sword is not just a symbol of protection, it is a tool of separation, dividing what was meant for your past from what is destined for your future. There is a moment approaching, A moment when you will feel something break open inside you. A moment of sudden realization, like a veil lifting from your spirit. When that moment comes, you will know it instantly. A knowing will settle deep within you. A peace, a clarity, a recognition of self that no external voice can shake. That moment is your spiritual identity stepping fully into the light. But before that moment arrives, Archangel Michael is preparing your heart with one final truth for this phase. Your identity is not rising for you alone. There are people connected to your destiny. There are lives you will influence, energies you will shift, futures you will impact simply by being who you truly are. Your identity carries assignment, and heaven is aligning you with that assignment now. Stay attentive. Stay open. Something extraordinary is unfolding in the next phase of your revelation, something that will connect your past, your present, and your purpose into one divine picture. Trust me, you will not want to miss what comes next. This is where the revelation deepens into destiny. Beloved one, there is a sacred stillness forming around your spirit in this very moment, as if the unseen realm is pausing just long enough for you to hear what heaven has been waiting to reveal. This stillness is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is the breath before revelation, the hush before divine truth steps forward. Archangel Michael is standing beside you with a strength that feels both protective and purposeful, guiding you deeper into the awakening of your spiritual identity. What you felt rising before is now beginning to take shape with clarity. You may feel it already. The subtle shift in your thinking, the quiet fire in your chest, the growing awareness that something inside you is expanding beyond what you once knew. This is not imagination. This is identity remembering itself. Heaven hides the deepest parts of who you are until the moment your maturity matches your calling. And today, your maturity has aligned with your divine timing. You are ready for what you were not ready for before. Archangel Michael reveals that a spiritual identity is not a label. It is a calling. And a calling carries weight. It carries responsibility. It carries influence. You were never meant to blend in with the world around you, because the blueprint of your soul was uniquely designed to shift energy, to carry light, to break cycles, to awaken others simply by existing in your truth. And now that your identity is rising, your energy is beginning to shift the spiritual atmosphere around you without you even trying. There is something powerful happening within your inner world. You may notice that your thoughts are separating themselves, your true thoughts growing louder and the old, fearful thoughts growing weaker. This separation is the beginning of spiritual clarity. Your identity is filtering out the noise of who you believed you were, so you can finally hear the truth of who you actually are. This clarity may feel unfamiliar at first. That is because you are stepping into a version of yourself your soul always recognized, but your mind is meeting for the first time. Your identity carries divine intelligence. This intelligence allows you to sense danger before it appears, feel guidance before it is spoken, and recognize alignment before it becomes visible. You may not have understood this sensitivity in the past. You may have dismissed it or questioned it. But Archangel Michael reveals that what you felt was not sensitivity, it was spiritual sight. You were seeing through the eyes of your identity even when you did not know your identity was awakening. This is why certain people's energy always felt off to you. This is why some environments made your spirit uneasy. This is why you picked up on lies, intentions, and hidden motives without anyone telling you. Your identity has always been spiritually aware. It simply needed time to rise above the noise of your past. But now, the rising has begun. There is something else happening inside you, a separation of timelines. Your past timeline is losing its power, and your future timeline is calling your name. You may feel moments where memories surface unexpectedly, as if asking to be released. You may notice emotions rising without explanation. These are echoes, not chains. Heaven is pulling old residue out of your spirit to make room for the identity that is strengthening within you. Archangel Michael whispers that you are not being emptied. You are being prepared. Prepared for clarity. Prepared for courage. Prepared for purpose. Your identity is stepping into the light, and anything that does not belong to your future cannot stay. This is why some relationships feel distant now. This is why some habits feel uncomfortable. This is why your spirit feels uninterested in the things that once distracted you. Your identity is rejecting what no longer aligns. And listen to this carefully, because it reveals something many never understand. When your true identity rises, your energy changes so drastically that the spiritual world reacts before the physical world catches up. Angels begin repositioning. Divine timing accelerates. Hidden help steps forward. Destiny connections begin aligning. Your identity is not rising alone. Heaven is rising with you. But there is a deeper truth being revealed now. One that explains every battle, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion you endured. Archangel Michael says your identity was targeted because of its influence. Even before you knew who you were, darkness recognized your potential. It tried to distract you. It tried to wound you. It tried to bury you beneath experiences meant to distort your self-perception. Because if you never saw yourself clearly, you would never recognize the authority you carry. But now the distortion is breaking. The veil is lifting. The confusion is clearing. Your identity is stepping into remembrance. You may soon feel a sudden surge of inner strength, a feeling that seems to come from nowhere, but it is not nowhere. It is coming from the ancient part of your soul that heaven preserved. You may feel guided toward certain decisions with unusual certainty. You may feel called away from things that drain your spirit. You may feel a growing hunger for alignment, truth, purpose, purity, growth. These are signs of identity activation. Archangel Michael stands guard over this moment, because what comes next will reveal a truth that shifts your perspective completely. This next layer will show you not only who you are, but why heaven has been preparing you so intentionally. This truth will reveal what your identity was always meant to do, and how powerful your presence truly is. Do not drift away now. Stay with this. What is coming is the kind of revelation that many search for their entire lives. You are only moments away from stepping into a deeper understanding of your divine essence. Chosen heart, there is a sacred vibration moving through your spirit right now, the kind that only arrives when heaven is preparing to reveal something transformative. If your chest feels heavier, if your mind feels unusually silent, if your spirit feels pulled toward these words with an intensity you cannot explain, it is because your identity is entering a deeper phase of awakening. Archangel Michael is standing beside you with a fierce tenderness, guarding the next truth that is about to be released. What is coming now will not just awaken you, it will shift you. Your spiritual identity has been rising layer by layer, but this moment marks a turning point. This is where remembrance becomes recognition, where the inner stirring becomes clarity, where everything your soul has been sensing finally begins to make sense. You may have noticed that the past feels more distant than usual, as though something is gently closing behind you. That is not your imagination. That is identity alignment. Your spirit is stepping into a new frequency, and the old cannot follow you. Archangel Michael reveals that this next part of your identity is not about who you are. It is about what you carry. For years, you have carried spiritual weight without understanding it. You walked into rooms and felt the atmosphere shift, but you didn't know it was you. You felt the heaviness of other people's emotions, but you thought you were overly sensitive. You sensed danger before it happened, but you didn't realize you were discerning. Heaven is showing you now. These were not accidents. These were manifestations of your identity, even when you didn't know its name. Your identity carries influence in the unseen realm. When your spirit rises, the spiritual world responds. Angels move. Energies adjust. Darkness retreats. You have wondered why you have always been the one who felt things first, saw things others overlooked, or carried unexplainable responsibility even in childhood. It is because your identity was marked. You were chosen before you understood choosing. And now, something powerful is happening. The dormant part of your spirit is waking. The part that was quiet, heavy, or uncertain is beginning to stand tall. You may feel moments of sudden courage, or moments when you sense clarity you cannot explain. These are not coincidences. These are activations. Your identity is stepping into its authority. There is something else Archangel Michael wants to reveal. When your identity rises, two things happen simultaneously. First, heaven begins to accelerate your timeline. Second, the spiritual world begins to rearrange itself around you. This is why you may notice people behaving differently around you. Some may grow closer. Some may pull away. Some may feel intimidated without knowing why. This is all part of identity recalibration. Your spirit is shifting frequencies, and not everyone can align with the light you're stepping into. But do not fear the shifting. It is protection, not loss. Who is meant to continue with you will adapt. Who is not meant to go forward will naturally fade. And your spirit will finally have room to breathe. There is another truth rising now, one that may explain years of confusion. You always felt older than your age, deeper than your surroundings, more aware than the people around you. This is because your identity carries ancient wisdom. Your spirit has lived many lifetimes of learning in ways your mind cannot comprehend. That wisdom is starting to surface now. It will come through your intuition, through your dreams, through inner knowing that feels almost supernatural. This is not fantasy. This is awakening. Archangel Michael says your identity carries a mantle, a spiritual assignment woven into your very being. The reason life never allowed you to settle or shrink is because your identity was never meant for small places. Destiny required you to grow through seasons that felt lonely because heaven needed to separate you from noise long enough for you to hear your calling. And now, that calling is beginning to whisper. You will start noticing repeated signs, unusual synchronicities, numbers showing up at specific times, sensations that feel like messages. These are not random, they are divine. Heaven is guiding your identity into alignment with your purpose. You are not being prepared for something small. You are being prepared for influence, for clarity, for breakthrough, for transformation. But listen closely, because this next truth is important. You are not awakening alone. Archangel Michael is leading this unveiling, clearing the path ahead so you can walk into your next chapter with confidence instead of confusion. He is guarding the door of your identity so that nothing from your past can interfere with what heaven is birthing in you now. Something extraordinary is about to be revealed in the next phase. Something that will show you why your soul has been restless, why your heart has been shifting, why your spirit feels different. You are approaching the moment where identity becomes destiny. Wait for it. What comes next carries power that will transform you at your core. Type "I step into my calling" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 1212 is now released. Before you move forward, take a moment to support this message so it can reach the souls who are waiting for their own awakening. Like this message, share it, comment your affirmation, and subscribe so this prophetic voice can continue to reach the ones who need it most. This revelation you are receiving is not just for you. It is part of a divine chain meant to awaken countless others who are searching for identity, purpose, and spiritual clarity. When you support this mission through super thanks, channel membership, or a PayPal seed using the link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are opening a spiritual channel for light to travel into the lives of those who feel lost. I feel God saying, every seed you release becomes a torch in someone else's darkness. I am inviting you personally, step into this moment and let your giving become an act of obedience, an act of faith, an act of alignment. Heaven responds to those who respond to destiny. Those who sow into divine work reap divine protection and divine revelation. Release your seed boldly and watch how heaven multiplies it back into your life. Beloved soul of divine purpose, the atmosphere around you is shifting again, slowly but unmistakably, as if the unseen world is adjusting itself to make room for the next revelation about your identity. This is not subtle anymore. Your spirit can feel the movement. Your heart can sense the stirring. Your inner world is bracing itself for a truth that has waited years, possibly lifetimes, to enter your awareness. Archangel Michael stands with a powerful stillness beside you, not speaking loudly now, but watching intently, guarding the space as your spirit prepares for what is coming. This silence is not emptiness, it is holy anticipation. You are entering the phase where your identity begins to merge with your destiny. This is not just awakening, it is alignment. And alignment always comes with a sense of inner recognition, as though a forgotten piece of your soul suddenly fits back into place. You may feel it as a pull in your chest, a warmth rising up your spine, or a clarity settling over your mind like a gentle but undeniable truth. This is your spirit remembering the path it was created to walk. Archangel Michael reveals that your identity is not just a spiritual truth. It is a spiritual function. You were created to carry a specific light into the world, a light that cannot be dimmed or replaced. This is why your journey has never been ordinary. This is why your battles were uniquely designed. This is why your growth required solitude, reflection, and strength. Destiny shaped you in a way that only identity could understand. And now, both are finally coming into alignment. There is something happening inside you that you may not fully recognize yet. Your spirit is beginning to detach from the fears that once held you back. The doubts that lived in your mind are losing their grip. The limitations you once believed about yourself are dissolving. You may notice yourself feeling more certain, more grounded, more aware, even without knowing why. That is identity stepping forward. When your identity rises, your insecurities cannot remain. You are shedding old versions of yourself. You are releasing identities that were never truly yours. You are walking away from labels placed on you by childhood, family, society, or trauma. None of those identities were ever your truth. They were temporary garments your soul wore in seasons of survival. But now, survival is ending. Awakening is beginning. Archangel Michael whispers this truth gently. Your spiritual identity has always been beautiful, powerful, radiant, and intentional. It carried purpose even when you felt lost. It held authority even when you felt weak. It carried divine marking even when life made you question your worth. Now that your identity is rising, you will see yourself with the clarity heaven always had for you. There is a deeper reason for your restlessness in this season. Your inner discomfort is not confusion, it's growth. Your spirit is signaling that the identity you lived in before is too small now. You cannot fit inside the versions of yourself you used to be. You can't shrink into chapters you have already outgrown. Every part of you is expanding to make room for what heaven is unfolding. You may notice that you are beginning to desire different things. Peace feels more important than noise. Purpose feels heavier than distraction. Truth feels louder than approval. These are signs that your identity is taking its rightful place in your spirit. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were always meant to be. Archangel Michael reveals that this stage of awakening often comes with a splitting of paths. Doors that once opened for you may now close because they are not aligned with your true identity. People you once clung to may distance themselves because they cannot match your rising frequency. Opportunities that once excited you may feel empty now because your spirit is maturing. Do not fear these shifts. They are divine recalibrations. Your identity is calling you forward, and anything that cannot go with you will naturally fall away. And listen carefully. This next truth is important. You are entering a period where heaven will begin speaking to you more directly. Through dreams that carry messages. Through sudden inner knowing. Through signs that feel too timely to ignore. Through synchronicities that guide your steps. This is not coincidence. This is mentorship from the divine. When identity awakens, heaven teaches. Archangel Michael is preparing you for a revelation about your spiritual role. A truth that will illuminate why you have always felt different, why you have always sensed the unseen, why your emotions have always been deep, and why your intuition has always been strong. You are stepping into the part of your identity that carries mission, not just meaning. But stay here a little longer. Something powerful is approaching. What comes next will connect the dots of your entire spiritual journey and reveal why this awakening happened on December 1. Why heaven chose this moment, this season, this timing to reveal what was hidden until today. Hold steady. The next layer is where identity becomes power. Beloved soul of divine truth, the air around you is thick with revelation, as if the unseen realm itself is leaning closer, preparing to unveil a truth you were destined to receive. Your heart may feel a gentle pressure, your spirit may feel unusually awake, and your thoughts may feel clearer than they have in a long time. These sensations are not random. They are signals that your identity is entering its most powerful phase yet. Archangel Michael stands in full authority beside you, his presence steady, purposeful, unwavering. He is not guarding you from something. He is guarding what is about to be revealed to you. You have reached the point in this awakening where your spiritual identity is no longer whispering. It is speaking. It is rising with a strength that your soul can no longer ignore. Something inside you is shifting, expanding, remembering, aligning. You may feel it as a pull, a warmth, a vibration, or even a quiet certainty settling in your chest. This is identity breaking through limitation. This is truth breaking through confusion. This is destiny breaking through delay. Archangel Michael reveals that your spiritual identity carries a mantle, a divine imprint that was placed on your soul long before you walked the earth. You did not earn this mantle. You inherited it. It was woven into your being at the moment of your creation. It is the reason you have always felt different, even when you tried to be like everyone else. It is the reason you were sensitive in ways others did not understand. It is the reason you felt responsible for things others overlooked. You were designed with spiritual depth. There have been moments throughout your life when your identity tried to surface, moments when you felt sudden clarity, sudden strength, sudden connection, sudden intuition. But those moments never lasted because the timing was not right. Heaven protects identity until the soul is ready to carry it fully. And today, your soul is finally ready. This awakening is not only revealing who you are, it is revealing what your presence does to the world around you. You carry a frequency that influences the unseen. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When you speak, energy responds. When you pray, heaven listens. When you feel something, it is often a spiritual signal, not an emotional reaction. These abilities were never accidents. They are signs of your calling. Archangel Michael says your identity has always been connected to protection, discernment, and spiritual intelligence. You have the ability to sense dishonesty before words are spoken. You know when someone's energy is off, even if they hide it well. You can feel when something is about to shift long before it happens. These gifts were misunderstood by others, but heaven always knew what they meant. You were built to see what others cannot see. There is another truth rising now, one that explains much of your internal struggle. Your soul has always been ahead of your environment. This means your inner world grew faster than your outer world. You matured spiritually before life caught up. This created seasons where you felt out of place, misunderstood, unseen, or underappreciated. But Archangel Michael whispers that this misalignment was temporary. Heaven is now aligning your identity with your environment. Where you are headed will finally match who you truly are. You may feel a strange sense of distance from your past lately, as if you're walking away from an old version of yourself. That is because your identity is no longer anchored to old wounds, old expectations, or old limitations. You are stepping into a version of yourself that carries authority. This authority is not arrogance. It is spiritual maturity. It is the quiet knowing that you are guided, chosen, and protected. But listen closely. There is something profound happening beneath the surface. Your identity is beginning to claim your future. This means the spiritual world is rearranging events, opportunities, and connections to align with the purpose you were born with. You may notice doors opening that once felt locked. You may notice peace where there used to be anxiety. You may notice your spirit saying no more clearly, and yes more confidently. These shifts are proof that identity is taking the lead. Archangel Michael says this is the moment where identity becomes power. This is the moment where who you are becomes what you walk in. This is the moment where destiny begins to unfold itself piece by piece. You are no longer in the phase of awakening. You are entering the phase of activation. And there is a reason this activation is happening now. December 1 carries a spiritual alignment, a moment when the veil between worlds thins and the soul becomes more receptive to truth. Heaven waited for this day, for this timing, for this exact moment to reveal what was once hidden. You were not late. You were not early. You were perfectly aligned. But what comes next is the revelation you have been waiting for. The truth behind why your identity was hidden. The purpose of your spiritual marking. The power your soul carries. And the assignment attached to your name. Do not look away. The next layer is the most transformative yet. Sacred soul, the atmosphere around your spirit is shifting once again, and this time the transformation is deeper, heavier, more deliberate than anything you've felt so far. What you sense in the earlier moments of this awakening was just preparation, gentle waves preparing your spirit to receive the full revelation of who you truly are. But now, those waves have become a rising tide. Your inner world is leaning forward, almost instinctively, as if you know that a truth long buried is about to be placed into your hands. Archangel Michael stands with unwavering strength beside you, holding the space for what your heart is finally ready to absorb. You have come to the threshold of your spiritual identity. Everything before this moment was a journey toward remembrance. Everything after this moment will be a journey in alignment. You are standing in the doorway between who you used to be and who heaven always intended you to become. And as this doorway opens, you may feel something stirring inside, an expansion, an elevation, a sense of rising that begins deep within your chest and radiates outward into your spirit. This is what it feels like when identity breaks free. Archangel Michael reveals that the reason your spiritual identity was hidden until now is because revelation must match readiness. If you received this truth too early, your soul would not have been able to carry its weight. If you received it too late, destiny would have been delayed. But today is the intersection of divine timing and spiritual maturity. Heaven has chosen this moment because you are finally strong enough, wise enough, and awakened enough to hold what is about to be placed upon your life. Your spiritual identity carries authority, real authority. Not the kind the world recognizes, but the kind the unseen realm cannot ignore. This authority has followed you since childhood. It showed itself in small ways: your sensitivity, your intuition, your inner knowing, your emotional depth. You thought these qualities made you different, but what you didn't know was that these were indicators of your calling. You were born with insight. You were born with spiritual hearing. You were born with discernment. These gifts might have felt overwhelming at times, but that is because they were waiting for the moment your soul caught up with your purpose. Now that your soul is aligned, these gifts are rising. You may soon notice a surge of clarity that feels almost supernatural. Answers appearing in your spirit before questions fully form. Understanding arriving without explanation. A sense of direction becoming sharper and more confident. This is not intuition alone. It is activation. Your identity is beginning to speak in its true language, spiritual truth. And once your identity begins speaking, confusion has no place left to live inside you. Archangel Michael wants you to recognize something vitally important. Everything you have survived was training. Every setback strengthened you. Every heartbreak sharpened your vision. Every disappointment purified your intentions. Every delay cleansed your path. Nothing in your life was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single battle, not a single moment of silence. All of it shaped the vessel that is now ready to carry revelation. You may wonder why your journey felt harder than others, why your path felt heavier, why your emotions ran deeper, why your moments of growth were often painful. It is because your spirit holds depth that many never reach. You are not being shaped for a simple life. You were being shaped for a purposeful one. Heaven allowed pressure because pressure reveals identity. You were being prepared to see what others cannot see, feel what others cannot feel, know what others cannot know. And now, that preparation is manifesting a spiritual power. There is something powerful that Archangel Michael is beginning to unveil. Your spiritual identity is connected to the light you carry. This light disrupts darkness. It exposes dishonesty. It awakens sleeping spirits. It brings clarity into chaos. This is why some people were uncomfortable around you without explanation. Your presence revealed their truth. Your energy uncovered what they wanted to hide. You carried spiritual intelligence, even when you didn't understand it. And now, your identity is bringing that intelligence into full awareness. You will soon notice that your inner resistance to old habits, old environments, and old connections is growing stronger. This is not you becoming distant. It is your identity rejecting what no longer aligns. You may feel less tolerant of things that drain your spirit. You may feel more protective of your peace. You may feel uninterested in drama, chaos, or noise. This is not a personality shift. It is spiritual refinement. You are detaching from the version of yourself that existed before awakening. Your identity is calling you forward, and everything that belongs to your future is beginning to answer. Archangel Michael whispers that your spirit is entering a phase where heaven will begin revealing your next assignments. You will receive nudges, ideas, invitations, opportunities that feel aligned with your inner truth. These are not coincidences. These are divine alignments. Your identity is drawing your destiny closer. You are stepping into a season where what used to confuse you will suddenly feel clear, and what used to scare you will suddenly feel small. This is the strength of identity. But there is more. Something deeper. Something that connects everything together. You are approaching the revelation of your spiritual role. The reason you were marked, protected, guided, and awakened at this specific time. The next layer of this awakening will explain what your identity was created to do in the world. It will reveal the purpose behind your sensitivity, your strength, your intuition, your empathy, your battles, your gifts, your dreams. If your spirit feels a pull, a tightening in your chest, or a rising in your breath, that is your soul recognizing that this truth is getting closer. Do not drift away. Do not lose focus. The revelation of your spiritual assignment awaits you in the next message. Beloved chosen one, the veil that once covered your spirit is now barely holding together. You are standing at the edge of the greatest revelation of your life, and your soul can feel it, rising, pressing, expanding, like a truth that refuses to stay hidden any longer. Everything you have felt in the last moments, every stirring in your chest, every sudden wave of clarity, every whisper of intuition has been preparing you for this final unveiling. Archangel Michael stands at your right hand now, not as a distant guardian, but as a witness to the moment heaven reveals why your spiritual identity waited until this precise time to come forward. You may feel your breath deepen, your attention sharpen, your spirit leaning into these words with an intensity almost unfamiliar. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is the moment your spirit has been moving toward your entire life. Heaven hid your identity until today because your soul needed to outgrow every false label, every limiting belief, every layer of pain that clouded your truth. Only a matured spirit can carry a revealed calling. And today, your spirit has reached that maturity. Archangel Michael whispers a truth now that shakes the inner walls of your being. Your spiritual identity was never just about who you are. It was about what you are meant to do. You are not an observer in the spiritual realm. You are a participant, a carrier of light, a disruptor of darkness, a breaker of cycles, a restorer of clarity in environments where confusion thrives. Your very presence carries assignment. Your identity has been awakening slowly because heaven needed you to step into your purpose without fear. If you had seen your spiritual calling years ago, the weight of it might have overwhelmed you. You may have doubted your strength or misunderstood your mission. But today, you stand stronger, wiser, more aware, more anchored in truth, and ready. Your identity is tied to transformation. Your energy shifts the unseen. Your voice carries influence. Your intuition is a spiritual instrument. Your compassion is a healing force. Your sensitivity is a form of discernment. Your depth is spiritual intelligence. Nothing about you is random. Every part of you was crafted intentionally so you could fulfill your spiritual assignment with precision. And here is the revelation you have been moving toward. Your identity carries activation power. Wherever you walk, dormant things awaken. Wherever you speak, truth reveals itself. Wherever you stand, clarity increases. People are drawn to your presence, not because of who you are on the surface, but but because this spirit recognizes something ancient, something powerful, something ordained within you. Archangel Michael reveals that your assignment is tied to awakening, not just your own, but those connected to your destiny. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to illuminate, to guide, to shift, to break generational darkness, to carry light into places where others cannot go. Your spirit was designed to change environments, not adapt to them. And now that your identity has risen, the world around you will begin responding differently. Expect acceleration. Expect clarity. Expect alignment. Expect spiritual conversations to deepen. Expect sudden opportunities to appear. Expect intuitive guidance to grow stronger. Expect old wounds to lose their power. Expect cycles to break easily. Expect transformation to follow you like a shadow of light. This is what happens when identity meets assignment. But listen closely now, because this moment carries a final insight, one that seals everything heaven has been revealing. You were hidden for protection. You were awakened for purpose. And now, you are being released for impact. There is a reason your identity is rising on December 1. This month marks a spiritual gateway, a turning of seasons, a resetting of timelines. Heaven waited for this exact moment to reveal what was hidden, because the energy of this season amplifies destiny. You are stepping into a cycle of divine alignment where everything connected to your purpose will begin to unfold effortlessly. Archangel Michael stands before you now, not with a sword raised, but with a mantle extended, a spiritual covering that symbolizes authority, identity, purpose, and protection. This mantle is yours. It carries your spiritual name, your gifts, your role. When you receive it, your old self fades. Your true identity emerges. And your destiny begins to walk beside you instead of ahead of you. The revelation is complete, but your journey is just beginning. Type "I receive my mantle" in the comments if your spirit is ready. Blessing code 999 is released over your life. Before you step into what heaven has prepared for you, take a moment to support this message so it can reach every soul who is waiting for their own awakening. Like this message, share it with others. Comment your affirmation and subscribe so this prophetic message can continue awakening hearts across the world. You have just witnessed a divine unveiling, and if your spirit felt the weight of this message, then you understand how deeply God is awakening His people in this season. I feel led to speak this over you when you pour into this mission through super thanks, channel membership, or a PayPal seed using the link in the description. You are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a move of God. Heaven says, what you support in the Spirit, I will multiply in your life. Your seed becomes a spiritual act, a declaration that you stand with the light you just received. Let your giving be bold, prophetic, and intentional. Those who sow into revelation will reap revelation. Release your seed now and watch heaven unlock what has been waiting for your obedience.